Descending Dread. Written by Boogeyman Diaries. With every creak of the stairs beneath my feet, the air thickened around me. Descending into the cellar of the abandoned factory, a sinister force seemed to tug at my resolve. The faint light of my lantern cast trembling shadows on the damp stone walls. Each step brought me closer to the source of my unease, and the earthy, musty scent enveloped me like a shroud. My name is Declan Hayes, and this place had haunted my dreams for weeks. As I ducked under ancient wooden beams and navigated the maze-like structure, the suffocating air pressed on my chest. My pulse raced with every twist and turn until the unmistakable sound of scratching froze me in place. Behind an old crate, a gnarled hand shot out and clamped around my wrist. I yelped, struggling against the iron grip of an elderly woman with wild eyes. Her gaunt figure and torn clothing made her seem like a ghost herself. "Leave," she hissed, her voice raspy and venomous. But as her words cut through the silence, the darkness around me stirred. Shadows slithered across the walls, whispering in alien tones. My lantern flickered, and panic set in. Yanking free, I stumbled backward, only to see the shadows coalescing into grotesque forms. With adrenaline pounding in my veins, I turned and fled, the factory echoing with the cacophony of my own hurried footsteps and the sinister whispers chasing me. Bursting into the open air, I fumbled with my car keys, my fingers trembling as I jammed them into the lock. Slamming the door shut, I started the engine and tore down the overgrown path. In the rearview mirror, I caught glimpses of twisted shapes retreating into the factory's looming darkness. The days that followed were a blur of restless nights and frantic research. The factory had once been built over a sacred site, desecrated by settlers centuries ago. It was said to harbor angered spirits, bound to torment anyone who dared trespass. The knot in my stomach tightened as I pieced together the fragments of its history. Despite the terror I felt, I returned, armed with supplies and a newfound determination. I ventured once more into the forsaken depths. My lantern barely pierced the gloom as I edged through the corridors. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the faint rustling of unseen forces. When a loud crash echoed through the air, I knew I wasn't alone. I turned a corner and came face to face with a figure emerging from the shadows. Its features were inhuman, its eyes glowing a malevolent red. Paralyzed, I could only watch as it advanced. When my legs finally obeyed, I bolted, narrowly avoiding its razor-sharp claws. But it was relentless, and no matter how fast I ran, it seemed to gain on me. Cornered at the end of a corridor, I grabbed a metal pipe from the floor and swung with every ounce of strength I had. The impact disoriented the creature, giving me a fleeting chance to escape. Bursting through a side exit, I was greeted by the blinding light of a search helicopter hovering above. The soldier who pulled me into the chopper introduced himself as Sergeant Grayson. He spoke in clipped tones, his face grim as he explained the creature's origins. It was a product of genetic experiments gone wrong, an attempt to create super soldiers that had spiraled into unimaginable horror. At a hidden medical facility, I underwent weeks of recovery, both physical and mental. Grayson's presence became a constant. His stories of others who had encountered these abominations filled the void left by my own haunting memories. He revealed the government's efforts to suppress the truth, their fear of widespread panic outweighing the countless lives already lost. I couldn't sit idly by. The faces of the missing and the echo of my own screams drove me to action. Grayson connected me with a resistance group survivors like me who sought to expose the horrors hidden in the shadows. Together, we vowed to bring the truth to light. As we planned our next steps, the memory of that red-eyed creature burned in my mind. Its ferocity, its inhuman grace hall, born from a failed experiment that the government still sought to perfect. We would fight not just for justice, but to ensure that no one else would face the descending dread of those cursed halls. The battle had only just begun, and I knew the road ahead would be perilous. But fear had no place in my heart anymore. With Grayson and the resistance by my side, I would confront the darkness head-on, ready to strike back against the evil that had nearly consumed me.